A woman at the theme park insisted I give her family my fast pass because people without kids shouldn't get special privileges. When I refused, she grabbed my wrist and screamed, "You don't deserve this." As security pulled her away, I waved my pass and said, "Looks like you'll be waiting in the regular line." I had always dreamed of visiting Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. As a single woman in my early 30s, I finally decided to treat myself to a solo trip. To make the most of my experience, I purchased the Lightning Lane Premier Pass, which allowed me to skip the regular lines for most attractions. This pass was a bit pricey, but I figured it was worth it to maximize my time and enjoyment in the parks. The Florida sun was blazing as I arrived at the Magic Kingdom. The excitement in the air was palpable, with families, couples, and groups of friends all around, eager to immerse themselves in the magic of Disney. I felt a surge of joy knowing that, with my Premier Pass, I could navigate the park more efficiently and experience more attractions without the long waits. After taking in the sights along Main Street, USA, I made my way towards Space Mountain, one of my all-time favorite rides. As I approached, I noticed the standby line was exceptionally long, with an estimated wait time of over 2 hours. Grateful for my Premier Pass, I headed toward the designated entrance, ready to bypass the lengthy queue. Just as I was about to scan my pass, I felt a firm grip on my wrist. Startled, I turned to see a woman, likely in her late 40s, with 2 young children standing beside her. She had short, curly brown hair and wore a floral blouse that was slightly damp with sweat. Her face was flushed, and her eyes bore into mine with an intensity that caught me off guard. "Excuse me," she said sharply, not releasing her hold on me. "I couldn't help but notice you're alone and using a Premier Pass. Don't you think it's a bit selfish for someone without kids to take advantage of that? Families like mine have to wait in these long lines while you're just breezing through." I was taken aback by her audacity. Collecting myself, I replied, "Ma'am, I understand that the lines can be tough with children, but I purchased this Premier Pass to enhance my experience, just like anyone else can. It's available to all guests, regardless of whether they have children." Her grip tightened, and her eyes narrowed. "People without kids shouldn't get special privileges. You should give your pass to a family who actually needs it." I gently tried to pull my wrist free, but she held on, her nails digging into my skin. "I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give you my pass. Please let go of me." Her face contorted with rage as she screamed, "You don't deserve this." The commotion caught the attention of nearby guests and a security cast member who quickly approached us. "Is there a problem here?" the security officer asked, looking between us. The woman immediately launched into a tirade about how unfair it was that I had a Premier Pass while her family had to wait in long lines. She demanded that I be forced to give up my pass to her. The security officer turned to me and asked, "Miss, is this true?" I took a deep breath and explained, "I purchased this Premier Pass for my personal use." This guest grabbed my wrist and demanded I give it to her. The officer nodded and then addressed the woman, "Ma'am, purchasing a Premier Pass is a personal choice available to all our guests. It's not appropriate to confront others or make demands like this. I'm going to have to ask you to come with me." As the woman was escorted away, still fuming, I couldn't help but hold up my Premier Pass and say, "Looks like you'll be waiting in the regular line." It was petty, but I felt a sense of vindication. The surrounding guests who had witnessed the altercation offered me sympathetic smiles and nods. One even whispered, "Good for you," as I finally made my way into Space Mountain, heart still pounding from the encounter. The rest of my day was thankfully uneventful, filled with thrilling rides, delightful shows, and the magic that Disney is known for. But the incident stayed with me, a stark reminder of how entitlement can rear its ugly head, even in the most joyful of places. Reflecting on the experience, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. While I was proud of standing my ground, I also felt a twinge of sadness for the woman's children who had to witness their mother's outburst. Disney World is meant to be a place of happiness and wonder, and it's unfortunate when such moments are overshadowed by unnecessary conflict. In the end, I realized that everyone has their own reasons for visiting the park and making the choices they do. Whether solo or with family, each guest deserves to enjoy their experience without judgment or confrontation. And as for me, I wouldn't let one negative encounter dampen the magic of my Disney adventure. As the fireworks lit up the night sky over Cinderella's castle, I found a quiet spot to sit and take it all in. The vibrant colors reflected in my eyes as I thought about the day's events. Despite the earlier incident, I felt a deep sense of contentment. This trip was about embracing joy, creating memories, and, most importantly, standing up for myself when it mattered. The next morning, I arrived early at Disney's Hollywood Studios, eager to experience the new attractions. With my Premier Pass, I secured a spot on Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance without the usual hours-long wait. The immersive experience was everything I had hoped for and more. As I exited the ride, I noticed a familiar face in the crowd. It was the woman from the previous day, her children trailing behind her. Our eyes met briefly, and I saw a flicker of recognition cross her face. She looked away quickly, her expression unreadable. She looked away quickly, like she hadn't just grabbed my wrist and tried to guilt-trip me in front of a crowd the day before. I was ready to ignore her and walk away. I wasn't here for drama. But then, she didn't just look away. She started following me. At first, I thought it was coincidence. Maybe we were heading to the same ride. Hollywood Studios isn't that big, and popular attractions tend to pull crowds in the same direction. But I zigzagged through the gift shop, detoured toward a snack stand, even stopped at the restrooms. Each time, a few minutes later, there she was again. And she wasn't subtle. She'd stop a few feet away, pretend to look at her phone, then glance up at me. Her kids didn't look thrilled. One of them was dragging his feet, and the other had melted chocolate smeared across his shirt. They looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. But she kept moving when I moved. Okay, weird. I figured maybe she was trying to intimidate me. I'd heard of people like this online, getting confrontational and then playing victim. I didn't want to risk anything escalating, so I made my way to guest relations to explain what was happening. I told the cast member everything about the wrist grabbing, the yelling, the security involvement yesterday, and now how I was being followed today. The cast member was sympathetic, took down my information, and said they'd alert security again. They offered me a couple of complimentary lightning lane selections as an apology for the inconvenience, which was nice. I didn't need it, but the gesture helped calm my nerves a little. So I kept going with my day. But she showed up again. In line for Toy Story Mania. This time, she wasn't subtle at all. I knew you'd be here, she hissed. You think you're better than everyone else just because you're alone and can waste money on that pass? You ruined my family's day yesterday. I was stunned. There were families all around us in line. Kids holding their parents' hands, grandparents snapping pictures, and this woman was starting something again? I didn't ruin anything, I said, keeping my voice low but firm. You grabbed me. You demanded something that wasn't yours. I just wanted to enjoy the park like everyone else. Her eyes went wild. You think you can just flash that pass and wave it around like some VIP? And then she did something completely unhinged. She took out her phone and started filming me. This is the woman who stole my kids' Disney experience, she said loudly to her camera, spinning the lens between her and me. She's the reason my babies waited in line for 2 hours yesterday while she skipped ahead with her privileged little pass. I stared at her, stunned. Are you serious right now? People were watching. Some were giving her the side eye. Others looked confused, probably wondering if she had a legit reason to be upset. I wanted to disappear. This was way beyond petty now, this was harassment. I turned around and walked straight out of the line. Again, I went back to guest relations. This time I showed them the clip she posted, because yeah, she uploaded it to Facebook right there. I found it while I was walking over, thanks to a reverse search on her public profile. Her caption? Entitled adult without kids thinks she deserves a better experience than families. Disgusting. Hashtag Disney fail, hashtag privileged much. I was speechless. She made me out to be the villain, and there were already comments from people saying things like, people like her ruin Disney, and families should get priority. Security got involved again. They asked if I wanted to press charges for harassment, or if I wanted to file a complaint. I didn't want to ruin my trip, but I wasn't going to let this slide either. They said they'd talk to her and that she'd be warned, possibly even removed from the park if she kept it up. That helped a little. But by then the magic was starting to crack. I decided to take a break and sit on a bench near Echo Lake, just to calm down. I was sipping a cold drink and watching the Indiana Jones show crowd build up when I heard someone approaching from behind. I turned, ready to bolt if it was her again. It wasn't. It was one of her kids. The older one, maybe 10 or 11, stood there awkwardly, hands in his pockets. I'm sorry about my mom, he said quietly. I blinked. What? She gets mad a lot when things don't go how she wants, he said, not meeting my eyes. She told us you were being selfish, but you didn't do anything. I saw. She just got mad because you didn't have to wait. I felt my heart sink. You shouldn't have to say sorry for her, I said gently. I know, he said. But she said we can't ride anything fun now because she's dealing with your drama. I was speechless. This poor kid. I reached into my bag and pulled out one of the complimentary lightning lane passes guest relations gave me. I handed it to him. Take this, I said. Use it for any ride you want. You and your sibling. I hope it helps a little. He took it, eyes wide. Thanks, he said, and then ran off. I sat back down, heart pounding for a whole different reason. I didn't know what to feel, vindicated, angry, sad. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just about me anymore. And I had a feeling this wasn't over. A few hours passed without incident. I kept checking my surroundings just in case, but the woman and her kids seemed to have vanished. I rode Tower of Terror, grabbed a Mickey pretzel, and tried to shake it all off. I was halfway through Galaxy's Edge, wandering around taking pictures, when my phone started blowing up. Texts from a number I didn't recognize. At first, I ignored them. Then curiosity got the better of me. I opened the messages. You think you're clever? You messed with the wrong family. Hope your job doesn't mind hearing what a selfish, violent liar you are. I froze. I hadn't given anyone my number. I hadn't shared my name outside of the guest relations desk. So how? Then it hit me. She must have seen my name on my pass when I scanned it in front of her yesterday. The full name shows up on the screen briefly when you use the lightning lane. If she took a picture or remembered it, she could have looked me up. I checked my social media profiles. Sure enough, my full name was just unique enough to find me on Facebook and LinkedIn with a quick search. That was a mistake. Then I saw it. A public post. With my full name tagged. She'd written this massive rant about me, how I attacked her at Disney, how I was a child-hating narcissist, how I threatened her kids, and now apparently I bribed her child with a pass to manipulate him. She had followers. A lot of them. Maybe she was a blogger or influencer, I don't know, but her post was blowing up. People were commenting things like, shame on her, meaning me, Disney needs to ban people like this, and people without kids shouldn't even be allowed in parks. This was spiraling into something dangerous. I panicked. I messaged her privately. Take the post down. This is harassment. I've spoken to Disney security. I don't want to involve legal action, but I will if this continues. She didn't respond. But instead, she posted a screenshot of my message with the caption, now she's threatening me with lawyers. Hashtag disgusting behavior. I couldn't believe it. She was twisting everything, and people were eating it up. I made my Instagram private. Locked down my Facebook. Scrubbed LinkedIn. My stomach was in knots. This was beyond theme park drama. This was a full-on character assassination. I went back to guest relations and showed them the posts, the texts, the whole mess. The staff were kind, but said because the harassment was now happening online, it was outside of their control. However, they would officially ban her from communicating with me in the parks. They even offered to escort me if I needed help moving between rides. Still, I didn't feel safe. Then, as I walked through the courtyard near the Chinese theater, something really strange happened. A man came up to me. Maybe late 30s, clean-cut, sunglasses. Looked like your average tourist. Are you her? He asked. I blinked. What? From the post, he said. The one going around. The woman with the pass? The one who assaulted the mom? My blood went cold. No, I said flatly. None of that is true. He didn't believe me. You're disgusting, he muttered. Then he walked away. I sat on a bench and honestly thought about just ending the trip early. That night, back at my hotel, I got a message request on Instagram from a fake-looking account. No profile picture. No posts. The message? You won't be able to hide. Disney is for families. People are watching you. That was it. I called the police. They came to the hotel, took a full report, and gave me advice on what to do if things escalated. They also told me something that chilled me. Another woman had filed a similar report last year against a park guest who used online harassment as a tool for revenge. Same pattern. False claims, public shaming, followers used as a mob. Some people do this on purpose, the officer said. They know how to turn online drama into pressure. They want something, attention, revenge, clout. Or they just like control. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept the curtains closed and the lights off. Every buzz from my phone felt like a gunshot. I was scared. The next morning, I decided to lay low. I stayed in the hotel, had breakfast, watched TV, ignored the noise online. But then, in the middle of the afternoon, I got an email from a reporter. Apparently, the woman had shared my name with a parenting blog. A writer reached out asking for my side of the incident at Disney. They claimed they wanted to hear both perspectives. Both perspectives? I stared at the screen. This was a ride I never signed up for. And something told me she wasn't done yet. The email from the reporter was the final straw. I was no longer a park guest just trying to enjoy a solo vacation. I had become someone's main character in a twisted story, and now it was leaking into the real world. I didn't want this. I never signed up to be part of some viral nonsense that made me out to be a monster. But I wasn't going to hide anymore either. I messaged the reporter back. I sent screenshots, texts, video stills, the security report from the park. I explained everything, how she grabbed me, stalked me, twisted everything for clout, and unleashed a wave of strangers who now thought I was the villain in her fantasy. The reporter didn't reply, but I saw later they removed her post. Small win, but I'd take it. That evening, I went back to the Magic Kingdom for the fireworks. I thought maybe being around something pure and joyful would ground me again. The park was packed. Kids waving glow sticks. Couples holding hands. Music swelling from the castle. I tried to lose myself in the moment. But when I turned around to leave, she was there. Right in front of me. Alone. No kids this time. No phone out. Just standing with her arms crossed, like she'd been waiting. "You happy now?" she asked. I didn't say anything. I didn't move. "You made me look like a lunatic. My followers are turning on me. Sponsors are threatening to pull deals. All because you couldn't just give me a pass and move on." I stared at her, heart racing. "You grabbed me. You followed me. You filmed me. You lied." "I was defending my kids," she snapped. "You people come here, throwing money around, cutting lines while real families wait. You don't get what it's like to save for months just to watch someone like you walk past." Her voice was rising. People nearby were looking now. "And what exactly do you mean by, you people?" I asked, louder this time. She didn't answer. But her face tightened. "Let me guess," I continued. "You thought you could embarrass me into giving you what you wanted. And when that didn't work, you decided to destroy me instead. Online. In real life. You dragged your own kids into it. You let strangers think I was dangerous." A few cast members started to approach. One of them spoke into a walkie-talkie. "I just wanted one damn ride with my kids," she shouted. "One. Everything's harder when you're a single mom. You think I don't know what I did? But nobody ever cuts people like me a break." There it was. The truth spilled out, not with dignity, but desperation. People around us had stopped walking. Some recording. Others just staring. I heard a teenager behind me whisper, "That's the lady from the video, I think." She looked around and realized it too. Her expression cracked. Anger gave way to panic. "They said I was a good mom," she mumbled. "That I was strong. And now I'm trending for the wrong reason." I felt a strange wave of emotions, anger, yes. But also pity. This woman had built an identity on something brittle. And the second it didn't hold up, she lashed out. "I'm sorry," she finally said. But it was the most hollow apology I'd ever heard. She wasn't sorry for hurting me. She was sorry she got caught. Security reached us. They spoke to her calmly but firmly, asking her to come with them. She didn't resist this time. As they led her away, she looked back once. Not at me, just at the castle behind me, like she was realizing what she'd lost. The crowd slowly dissolved. A woman in a Disney shirt came up to me quietly. "I saw what happened yesterday. I was in line behind you. You didn't do anything wrong." Her words didn't fix everything, but they mattered. I nodded, too drained to speak. I stayed in the park a bit longer, sitting by the partner's statue, just watching people walk by. Families, kids, solo travelers like me. All just trying to enjoy their time. The next day, I filed a full report with my attorney, just in case she kept pushing this online. I had everything documented now, dates, names, screenshots. I wasn't going to let her rewrite history again. She tried reaching out a few weeks later. Email. A long one. She said she'd lost sponsorships, was being cyberbullied, and begged me to issue a public statement saying it was all a misunderstanding. I didn't reply. Let her face what she made. It took time to shake it off. I stayed offline for a while. Even deleted a few accounts. The noise quieted down eventually, like it always does. Internet mobs move on. But the scars stuck around. What she did taught me something real. People don't always want truth. They want outrage. And if someone hands them a villain to point at, they won't stop to ask questions. I'm more cautious now. About what I share. Who I trust. But I don't regret standing my ground. I didn't let someone bully me into silence. I didn't let them make me feel small for traveling solo or enjoying something on my own terms. Was it fair what happened to her in the end? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But actions have weight. And some people have to learn that the hard way.